Thank you very much. Honourable Heads of State, Governments, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to pay tribute to UNISDR and to the Government of Mexico for organising this conference. We're very grateful for the gracious hospitality being extended to us. Natural hazards, including earthquakes, storms, volcanic eruptions, drought, fires, floods and landslips, these are part of life in New Zealand, and some of them impact on our main cities. In 2011, Christchurch, our second largest city, was devastated by major earthquakes, causing damage of over $40 billion, some 20% of our GDP. Last November, we experienced a magnitude 7.8 earthquake in Kaikoura, about 100 kilometres north of Christchurch, and that caused $2 billion of damage to road and rail infrastructure and led to the demolition of several large buildings in our capital, Wellington. And then in February, forest fires in Christchurch led to evacuations only 5 kilometres from the central business district. So we are very serious, we have to be, about how we prepare for, respond to and recover from disasters, and we've developed a broad range of skills and experience that we are keen to share with others. New Zealand strongly endorses the Sendai Framework, and we are now preparing for implementation. Just 4 months after the World Conference in Sendai, we held our own New Zealand Symposium on disaster risk reduction to benchmark our capability across the Sendai Framework's 4 priorities and promote a national conversation on the framework's implementation. The symposium was attended by a wide range of stakeholders, and we've also completed a comprehensive assessment of our capability at both the local and national levels against the Sendai Framework's actions with a view to informing our forward work programme. We're now working on a range of initiatives to give effect to the framework's goals and priorities and to understand and manage better our national disaster risk. And we are tackling the substantial challenge of collecting data from multiple organisations to meet our routine reporting obligations. We're also about to release a new national disaster resilience strategy, which aligns closely with the Sendai Framework. And that strategy has benefited significantly from our experience with the Christchurch and Kaikoura earthquakes. It identifies how we will boost our resilience to disaster risk and includes an implementation roadmap which prioritises our effort and investment over the next decade. Community engagement and community resilience are at the heart of our strategy, and its development very much involves a whole-of-society approach. It also acknowledges the supportive, enabling environment that is necessary at the local and national levels. We continue to take stock of our learnings from the Christchurch earthquakes and use them to improve our approach, including amending legislation and strengthening governance. Particular lessons from the Christchurch recovery include the role of the private sector, the importance of early recovery planning, and for us, how high levels of insurance penetration facilitate early recovery. In September 2015, we held what we called the Built Environment Leaders Forum, and this was aimed at improving the way we manage infrastructure risks. The forum was attended by 200 chief executives, directors, and principals from engineering consultancies, lifeline utilities, building, banking, insurance, and legal communities, technical experts and researchers, as well as excellent representation from central and local government. We will continue to foster collaborative partnerships across all sectors, including, importantly, business interests, the private sector, in order to inform our domestic disaster resilience agenda. New Zealand is and will remain deeply committed to international collaboration around disaster risk management. Strengthening resilience is one of 12 investment priorities for the New Zealand Aid Programme. It's an area where we believe we can and do make a tangible and lasting impact. Although we invest substantially in disaster preparedness and disaster risk reduction in Southeast Asia and Latin America and the Caribbean, approximately 60% of our official development assistance and the bulk of our humanitarian response efforts are directed to the Pacific. As we've already heard today, many Pacific Island countries are particularly vulnerable to disasters. Their development trajectories are severely constrained by multiple disaster events such as cyclones, storm surges, flooding, and tsunamis. The Pacific region is projected to experience an increased frequency and severity of disaster events in response to climate change. Consequently, disaster risk reduction is a major focus for governments across that region. New Zealand supports the Framework for Resilient Development in the Pacific, which guides implementation of the Sendai Framework and which emphasises regional coordination, community engagement, and the integration of disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. Effective coordination of development activity will be particularly important given the substantial increase in climate change adaptation funding that the Pacific is currently experiencing. International collaboration around disasters is very much about partnerships, and we're constantly learning from each other's experiences. I know it's not original. Disasters know no boundaries. And New Zealand will always remember with the deepest gratitude the international response following the Christchurch and Kaikoura earthquakes, including support and immediate help from many participants in this conference. So while New Zealand is pleased to share our own experiences, we're also here very much to listen and to learn. We welcome implementation of the Sendai Framework. We have high expectations that this conference will lead to greater collaboration and coordination among participants, and also that it will lead to practical and effective outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, His Excellency Phillip Gibson. Thank you for your statement.